Morning, 8th grade. Today we're going to begin Unit 2, Nouns. At the top of your paper, page 61, Unit 2, Nouns, please put your last name first, separated by a comma, with your first name. Class 8, and today's date is 9/28. Once again, watching this video, following the directions is going to lead to success. Okay, let's get after it. There are 4 suggestions I have for you as we begin our review of nouns. You may care to write these on the top of your paper. Number 1, look for prepositional phrases. All objects of prepositions are going to be nouns. So where there's a prepositional phrase, there will be a noun. Number 2, locate simple subjects. We just spent a week identifying subjects and predicates in sentences. And so these subjects that we've identified are going to be nouns. Thirdly, search for all other persons, places, things, and ideas. Number 3 is the simple definition that we find on our page that we'll be going over in just a moment. 4, check for proper nouns that receive capital letters. We know that specific names of persons, places, things are going to have capital letters. If you keep these 4 things in mind, you're going to find out that the identification of nouns becomes a bit simpler. We'll continue by identifying the definitions on the top of page number 61. First of all, a noun names a person, place, thing, or idea. A proper noun is the specific name of a person, place, thing, or idea. If it doesn't name a specific person, place, thing, or idea, like Garden Homes Lutheran School, Milwaukee Public Museum, Miller Park, then we're going to name it a common noun. Below these definitions on the top of page number 61, we see some examples of specific persons, places, things, or ideas, and some examples of common nouns. As we continue to study this week, we're going to be separating the proper and common nouns into different groups. But for today, we simply want to practice looking out for identifying these 2 kinds of nouns. You'll notice by the exercise, I've changed the directions to simplify the work that we're going to be doing. Why don't you take a moment and cross out, draw 3 lines under each to the end of that sentence, and then you can place these words, then mark with an X, letters that should be capitalized. This will kind of be like our proofreading. When we're done, we're going to want to go back and check just to be sure that all of the words that need to be capitalized are capitalized. I used some of my color coding up above in my sentences down below. We are not, I repeat, we are not going to follow these directions like in this sentence here. We're going to use the directions that we have listed above. So I'm not even going through this sample exercise because we're not going to follow that. Sentence 1. Are there any prepositional phrases? Yes. On this first page, 8th grade, anything that's in this aqua color is a preposition. And so the words that follow it are probably going to be noun or nouns. Before we said the subjects of the sentences are going to be nouns. In an upcoming lesson, when we talk in our unit on verbs, we'll be reviewing direct objects. Most of you are well acquainted with direct objects. They come after a verb. They answer the question, what? And they're nouns. So, in sentence number 1, baby is a common noun. I'm going to underline it. You're going to see my words that are in green are common. Green is going to be underlined. This reddish tone, these are going to be my proper nouns. Martin Luther King Jr. Sometimes people are identified with a junior, senior, or a Roman number, which indicates that they're named after somebody else. That goes along with the capital. And lastly, in sentence 1, Atlanta and Georgia. Now, what letters would I put an X through as I'm proofreading? I would want to capitalize Martin, Luther, King, Jr., Atlanta. Georgia's already capitalized. So in sentence number 1, do you notice how many words are not nouns? Named, was, born, and the preposition in. The rest of the words are nouns. Sentence 2. I have 2 prepositional phrases. The objects of the prepositions are nouns. House, I underline, it is a common noun. Auburn Avenue, I'm going to circle because it is a proper noun. My simple subject that I underline is family. Again, notice the color coding. Representing common nouns in green and in red, proper nouns. And lastly, as I had mentioned up above, number 4, check for proper nouns that receive capital letters. And we said we wanted to just put an X over those letters. So in number 2, I'm putting an X over avenue. Auburn is already capitalized, but I would want to capitalize avenue. Sentence 3. Simple subject, father. Common noun, underline. Minister, it's a person, I underline it. Son, I underline it. Sharecropper, it's the object of the preposition, it's a noun, I underline it, it's a common noun. Make for yourself a note or remember it, please. When I use words like son, father, mother, daughter, minister, and there is an article that comes before it, it gets a small letter. A minister, my mother, the son. If they're used by themselves to take the place of a person, I saw Dad cutting the grass. I saw Harold cutting the grass. You wouldn't say, I saw my Harold. So if it said, I saw my dad, I would not capitalize it. If it said, I saw Dad, I would. I noticed that these have a word that comes before them. They're common nouns. Father, minister, son, sharecropper. As we capitalized before, Martin, Luther is, King is, and senior should be, just like junior was. As we're going along here, if there's a question, write it on the side of your paper so that you can fire that off to me in a message later on, and I can try to help you through that. Number 4, mother's like father. There is a word that comes before it. It doesn't say mother, it says his mother. So mother and teacher, common nouns. Alberta Williams King, I circle, that is a proper noun. And then as I do my proofreading, I have Williams and King to be capitalized. So I'm going to put an X through the first letter. Number 5. King skipped 2 grades at Booker T. Washington High School. Simple subject is King, but you notice it's a proper noun. I circle it. Grades. Booker T. Washington High School. It's a proper noun. It names a high school. So I would put an X through Booker, High, and School. I'm noticing here that I have a couple of things that shouldn't be highlighted, so I'm getting rid of them. Thank you. Proper noun, King, circle it. Grades, common noun, underline it. Again, just so we can identify, you don't need to do anything with at. I'm doing that so we can visualize. That's the beginning of the prepositional phrase, and so that I look for another noun, and I have my second proper noun and an X through B, H, S. Great. Number 6. Still a teenager, King graduated from Morehouse College. Person, place, thing, idea. A teenager is a person. Common, underline. King, a specific person. X through King. Prepositional phrase, object of the preposition Morehouse College, X through M, because it should be capitalized. Number 7. We start out by looking at the prepositional phrases, and the reason I want to take a look at the prepositional phrases, look how many words the sentence is. Of becoming a doctor or lawyer, into the ministry. And again, those objects of the preposition, doctor, lawyer, ministry, are common nouns, so I would underline them. The simple subject is proper, circle King. Again, of and into our prepositions. Number 8. While still at Morehouse, preposition, and I circle Morehouse, I'm remembering from the context, this was a proper noun that refers to the name of the college. Circle Morehouse. Put an X through M. It should be capitalized. Put an X through the K in King because you're circling King, which refers to Martin Luther King Jr. 2 prepositional phrases to close out sentence number 8. Each one of them has a common noun, church and father, that I underline. And finally, number 9. King was elected co-pastor at the church upon his graduation from college. As I was going through your papers, I noticed that some of us didn't separate our prepositional phrases, and I'm going to caution you about separating your prepositional phrases now, because if you don't separate them, maybe you're going to miss one of the objects. If I just said at the church upon its graduation from college, I might only take church, or I might only take college. But I have 3. At the what? Church. Upon his what? Graduation. That's a thing. That's a common noun. So I've got One preposition, one noun. A second preposition, another noun. The third preposition followed by the third common noun. So keep that in mind if you have them going back to back. In this case, back to back to back, I'm going to have three nouns, and they're all common nouns. Co-pastor is a common noun, and then the proper noun, king. Okay, 8th grade, my takeaway for today is I have two main kinds of nouns. They are called common nouns and proper nouns. They both name persons, places, things, or ideas, but the proper nouns name specific person, places, things, or ideas. Be reminded that sometimes they can be more than one word, especially if it's the name of a person or a building. Look for prepositional phrases. Where there's a prepositional phrase, you're going to have a noun for sure. My simple subjects are going to be nouns. Search for all other person, places, things, or ideas. Things like direct objects in the sentence. And then the proofread to make certain that the nouns in the sentences receive the capital letters. I think that's enough for today. We're going to stop today at the bottom of page 61, and tomorrow we'll pick up reviewing proper and common nouns, finding them in the sentences, and then proofreading to be sure that those proper nouns have the correct capitalization. Thanks for your attention today on the video, and we'll pick this up tomorrow, Tuesday. Have a great rest of your day.